Abusia ha Kempinski Gold Coast Hotel na Ghana Mampani His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and wabedu no na dwumadie no ne ekoso nyina ene se Ghana Vaccine Manufacturing Investment Forum ekoso na ye hwe nim se oh my Ghana ye be kwan betimi opposition ye ho yie na vaccines yetimi manufacture na afi ya hwe kwan ya betimi scale up ama yenko dependi on abibire aman so ana se aman ahodo so no eno ena dwumadie no ekoso nti o hwe a Ghana Mampani abedu abusua me yankomu na yenkotie yanhwe ne ekoso Ghana News TV medin ene nana sefa hwene bobo masro se ne ndedi kan aba hwe me a na subscribe na wa share video e de amame na me ka onso se wa ma no ni na so send this cable my Ghana mu a omodi an download the link file na bo code news ehim wetimi e de asende sika no sanso na o Europe ene no potemo ni nyina no obetimi na download the app na bo news ni shemu a bet you $10. I'm waiting media do Juma Sanso and I'll send you first $100. I'll bet you $20. So Europe so I'll send you first €100 for much of €15. Saskai ubit me at the Achobia Mane. You could see Ghana Mampani, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Manufacturers, pharmaceutical industry, and I just say distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege for me to join you here this morning for the Ghana Vaccines Manufacturing Investment Forum. This is a vital platform and at a critical time in our journey towards health, sovereignty, and industrial transformation. Today, we're not simply talking about vaccines. We're discussing our collective capacity as a nation and continent to take charge of our health, our economy, and our future. Nearly a decade ago, my government took a bold step to revitalize Ghana's pharmaceutical sector. What we did was we eased the burden on local manufacturers by removing duties on over 510 active pharmaceutical ingredients and selected inputs that they required for their manufacture. We also invested over $27 million in 6 selected Ghanaian-owned pharmaceutical companies, and this sparked a quiet revolution in local pharmaceutical manufacturing. What this investment did was allow the companies to expand their production lines and increase their operating capital, and also allowed several of those companies to become major exporters of pharmaceutical products into other countries in the sub-region. Now, these were not isolated interventions. They were part of a broader strategy to shift Ghana from dependency to production and self-sufficiency. But we understood even then that health is not only a social good, but it is a strategic and economic imperative. Today, we've gone even further. One of my first actions as president, as the Minister of Health just said, was to uncap the National Health Insurance Levy. What the previous government had done was to pass the capping and alignment law, which meant that every statutory fund that exceeds a certain percentage of the budget, the extra funds went back into the consolidated fund. And so what we did was to uncap this fund, and this allowed the National Health Insurance Authority to front-load over $24 million in co-finance to Gavi this year. And so that has guaranteed that Ghanaian children will have access to life-saving vaccines for the year 2025. This is important because you remember a few years ago, we ran out of vaccines because we couldn't pay for them. And as you are aware, in 2030, Ghana is going to transition from Gavi. And I believe that this forum could not have been more timely because it makes us able to prepare so that by the time we transition from Gavi's support, we would have a robust vaccine manufacturing capacity that will lay the foundation for us to be self-reliant in vaccine supply. The events of the last few years, and like the Minister of Agribusiness just said, maybe it's a bit hackneyed, COVID-19 pandemic, the global supply chain disruptions reaffirmed the truth that we need to establish our own vaccine manufacturing capacity. Despite housing a sixth of the world's population, Africa received less than 1% of global vaccine production during the crisis. This was not just an oversight, it was a structural failure. The African Union's goal of producing vaccines locally by 2040. The next pandemic is not a question of if, but it's a question of when. And when it happens, Africa must be ready. This forum occurs when Ghana lays the groundwork for a new economy, a 24-hour economy that is driven by productivity, value addition, and industrial innovation. The vaccine manufacturing drive sits at the intersection of this transformation. Yesterday, we hosted the African Health Sovereignty Summit, where we launched the Sustain initiative. And this means scaling up sovereign transition and institutional networks. This initiative is our call for investment-driven, country-led health systems built on local partnership and local ownership and regional cooperation. So today's forum builds on that vision, bringing together government, the private sector, investors, diplomatic partners, and academia. Well, researchers are in academia, so you are covered. To create a robust and globally competitive vaccine ecosystem. But let me now announce a significant step forward, and I'm sure Soji and his team will be very happy to hear this one. To accelerate this agenda, the government of Ghana is committing an additional $50 million I knew he would smile. We're committing an additional $50 million to the seed capital of the National Vaccine Institute. And so this will raise the total to $75 million. They already were given $25 million, so we'll raise the seed capital to $75 million. This investment will be directed towards building and equipping vaccine manufacturing infrastructure. And so DEK and all of you, I'm sure you can smile at that. It will support compliance with international regulatory standards. It will train Ghanaian scientists and technicians through the Ghana Biomanufacturing Training Consortium. But let me point out that this is not charity. We believe Ghanaians have the capacity to innovate and deliver solutions for Africa. We're also encouraged by the positive signs this morning, especially the contribution from the representative of the Afro-Exim Bank, which is exploring the possibility of investing over $113 million in two of Ghana's key vaccine manufacturing firms, Atlantic Life Sciences, that you heard from today, and DEK Vaccines. These organizations must be expedited, and I assure you of government's full support for de-risking these investments through guarantees and tailored financing instruments. Ladies and gentlemen, supply without demand is unsustainable. I've directed the National Vaccine Institute to work with the Ministries of Health, the Ministries of Trade and Agribusiness and Industry to develop a cabinet proposal for advanced market commitment for locally manufactured vaccines. What this means is that we'll commit public sector procurement to buy made in Ghana vaccines. And this will create predictable demand for local manufacturers. We'll also strengthen our procurement systems to align with our industrial and public health goals. And this is Secretary coming up with a list of made in Ghana products. And we're going to amend the procurement law to ensure be the first to be sectors. I expect these commitments to be formalized within the next 2 months, sending an unambiguous signal to the market that Ghana backs its words with action. But let us be realistic. Ghana's domestic market alone is insufficient to sustain full-scale vaccine manufacturing. However, the ECOWAS market of over 400 million people and the Africa-wide market of about 1.3 billion people presents a powerful opportunity for us. Our vaccine manufacturing strategy is regional by design, and as President, I'll champion Ghana's participation in the Africa CDC's pooled procurement mechanism and advocate for broader market access across the African continent. I'll also encourage collaboration with our neighboring countries to build a distributed manufacturing ecosystem where no single country tries to do it all. Still, each contributes its strength to a resilient and shared solution that is beneficial to all of us. Building Ghana as a pharmaceutical hub, our three-pillar strategy, our ambition to make Ghana a pharmaceutical manufacturing hub rests on three core pillars. The first is infrastructure and investment. And under this is establishing biotech industrial parks, reducing energy tariffs for the pharmaceutical industry, offering tax incentives for research and development. My brother researcher, you'll be happy to hear that. The second pillar is human and capital development. And under this, training a new generation of biotechnologists, regulatory scientists, and production engineers through domestic and international partnerships. And the third pillar is policy and partnerships. And under this is strengthening institutions such as the FDA and the National Vaccine Institute as regulators, promoting local procurement and export support for the industry, and collaborating with global partners to enhance regulatory readiness. The Ghana Food and Drugs Authority is already a WHO maturity level 3 regulator and is on track to become one of the continent's first fully accredited vaccine regulators. And thanks to Mimi and her team for the work that they have done. And so we'll continue to work closely with the European Union, our partners, with the German government, the GIZ, the World Bank, and the WHO to be able to achieve this. I expect that following today's forum, the National Vaccine Institute and its partners will consolidate these ideas into a national vaccine manufacturing investment roadmap. This should serve as a practical guide, highlighting financing needs, policy enablers, and partnership models, and be incorporated into the National Vaccine Institute's forthcoming 5-year strategic plan. Now, my final call. Let me end this with this call. To our investors and partners, Ghana is open for business. But more than that, we're ready for partnership. We're not just looking for financiers, we're looking for co-creators of a future where vaccines are made in Africa by Africans and for Africans. This is about more than health. This is about jobs for our young people. It's about technology transfer for our industries. It is about dignity and self-reliance for our continent. And so let this forum be remembered not just as a talking shop, but as marking the turning point. And so let us leave here not with applause, but with agreements, commitments, and action plans. And let us work to make Ghana the pharmaceutical heartbeat of Africa and a 24-hour economy that never sleeps. I thank you, and may God bless our collective efforts.
Prz John Dramani Mahama.
Prz John Dramani Mahama. Wow. Please be seated. We thank you, Mr. President, for that bulls.
What I say, this is gungulum 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 gung. This is Ghana News TV. The time is 6 o'clock. Let me follow Ghana.
So send this cafe amanoni aba Africa ha. You slemfy. Say ye fear wo pese wo ntono. You slemfy. E dan ya na say japade a wani da so a wo pese oto wa Africa ha no. You slemfy. Say wo send this sika ama odofo e de aboa no wo Africa ha. You slemfy. Sanso e na say wo tie obi school fees ama no a. You lemfy. Ninti ame kanfo lemfy ama on say utimi send this car e fa lemfy so a e ma ni begu bank account mu sanso e na timi begu mobile money account mu eno achi nso no de bia lemfy e wo daily rate a e ma hu sika dodo a wo send a wo benya lemfy e ye secured na wo send this car enche na nipa wo send ama no ne nsaka lemfy wo USA, Canada, UK, Italy, Germany, Ireland, Netherlands, Spain, Belgium, Portugal and France. What the lemfy send this car Unchiare, Bomadia, they use to be code NEWS News. Now say, and any day they can register or lemfy swa. Unya bonus, Sanso and I use to chance swa. Your bonus is a hoodwa, Yadema.
Follow and watch Ghana News TV.
Thank you, MC. Before I deliver my speech, let me take the opportunity to thank sincerely His Excellency the President for his high commitment in the health sector. Not only has he been with the health sector for the last 2 consecutive days, but in some cases, he travels with us far away, Brussels, and deliver powerful speeches that shakes the whole world. I was a very proud minister when my president left after his speech in Brussels, and everybody was walking to me to say, your president spoke so well. Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, President, Republic of Ghana, honorable ministers, my sister, the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness, Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajare, the Deputy Minister for Finance, Thomas Ampem, my dear directors, distinguished investors, leaders of the industry, researchers, I'm not forgetting you and I'm not skipping you, researchers, development partners, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The world has changed, and Ghana is changing with it. The old assumption no longer hold. That access to vaccines is automatic, that global systems will function fairly in crisis, and that Africa can depend on the benevolence of others. We have lived through the consequences of that thinking. We will not relive them. Our position is straightforward. Ghana will not beg for vaccines. Ghana will make them. We are not asking for sympathy. We are not waiting to be rescued. What we seek are partners, those who understand that health security is economic security, that the next pandemic must find Africa prepared, and that prosperity is best built in common cause. Just yesterday, we were speaking of sovereignty, but sovereignty means nothing if our supply chains are dependent on the choices of others. If we are to protect our people, our institutions, and our future, then Africa must take its place not at the receiving end, but at the manufacturing core of vaccines and essential medicines. This lesson was branded into our memory during COVID, when a continent of 1.4 billion received just 3% of global vaccines. Ladies and gentlemen, sovereignty demands supply chains we can control, and that means investing in production right here in Ghana. We have laid the foundations. Our National Vaccine Institute is fully operational. It is tasked with coordination, investment, mobilization, and regulatory strategy. Alongside, The MVI, our two leading domestic manufacturers, DEK, Vaccine Limited, and Atlantic Life Sciences, stand ready to scale. Their facilities exist, their teams are trained. They need three things. And the three things, the first one is capital, the second one is capital, and the third one is capital. Above all, what they need is capital. Likewise, our scientific base is strong, from Noguchi, KCCR, CSIR, and CPMR to universities across the country. Our researchers are already developing candidate vaccines. The pipeline is there. What they need are the resources to take these candidate vaccines from the lab bench to commercial vials. The numbers are clear. Our two manufacturers require about $140 million to reach operational scale. This is not a speculative figure. This is what it takes to ensure that the next time the world runs short, Ghana and West Africa will have enough. Ladies and gentlemen, the cost of inaction is greater. We continue to spend billions importing what we would produce, job losses, skills unused, sovereignty postponed. Our dear investors and partners, we are not pleading for aid. This is a business case, a well-regulated one, politically supported, regionally integrated vaccines ecosystem is emerging here. It needs capital to scale, and it offers returns. A guarantee market through national immunization and procurement plans, strong regional demand across ECOWAS, tax incentives and political stability, and most importantly, a capital set of partners with skin in the game. To our friends in the European Union, Germany's BMZ and GIZ, the World Bank, WHO, and others, you were here when this journey began. Your early support helped us take the first steps. We now invite you to stay the course with us and as co-builders of a continental capacity. To the development banks, equity funds, venture platforms, and blended finance investors in this room, you are not being asked to take a risk alone. You are being asked to join a structured partnership supported by government policy, commercial clarity, and long-term vision. The world often asks of the risking Africa, but what could be less risky than financing essential medicine for a population of 1.4 billion? Ladies and gentlemen, health is no longer a side concern for social ministries. It is an industrial strategy. It is a labor policy. It is resilience planning. This is the shift Ghana has made. We ask our partners to make that shift with us. We do not want to be remembered of our vulnerability. We want to be recognized for what we build. And this forum, this conversation, this investment agenda must be a turning point. The next pandemic will not wait, but neither will Ghana wait. The capacity is real. The ambition is serious. The political will is here. We are ready to manufacture, ready to regulate, ready to export, and above all, ready to lead. The future of vaccines in West Africa will not be decided in boardrooms in Brussels. It will be decided in factories and labs right here in Accra, in Tema, in collaboration with every serious partner who shows up. Who shows up, not with hesitation, but with commitment. My ministry and this government stand ready, whatever it takes to make this vision a reality. We'll match your urgency with ours. The time for talk has passed. The future is in our hands. Let's build it together. I thank you for the opportunity. I can not end my statement without saying that this is one of the happiest moments for vaccination in this country. For a very long time, this year, we have front-loaded the payment of vaccines in this country, our co-financing, and already we have paid not less than $24.5 million for the immunization of this country. Mr. President, we are so grateful to you.
And on behalf of the Institute,
Start creating something ourselves and be able to say that this is Ghana made. And that is one of the key things that we are looking at. We can also help one another in the South to be able to establish and to build the systems that we need to defend ourselves against future pandemics. Because as we know, we've seen COVID in the last few years, and there is every indication that we have more coming ahead of us. So how are we preparing for that? That doesn't only take doing the manufacturing bit, but we have to go back and also look at our R&D systems and how we can also build that up. And that will not be for the future, but that should start from now so that we can build that ecosystem going forward to be able to support the hub creation. So at this point, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity.
and so armed in the knowledge of Ghana's vaccine research and development capacities, let us now make room to appreciate the importance of vaccine manufacturing to Ghana's health security. Make welcome Ghana's Minister for Health, the Honorable Kwabena Minta Akando, MP. African Medicines Agency, please join us. AU, AFDD, AfriExim. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise, and with a big thank you to the President of our Republic for his presence here with us and for his call to action. Thank you, Mr. President.
So we send this cafe amanoni aba Africa ha usulem fi say ye fear wo pese wo nto no usulem fi edan ya na say japade a wani da so a wo pese wo to Africa ha no usulem fi so we send this sika ama odofo e de aboa no wo Africa ha usulem fi sanso e na say uti obi school fees ama no a usulem fi nyenti American full lem fi ama one say utimi send this sika e fa lem fi so a e ma ne begu bank account mu sanso e na timi begu mobile money account mu eno achi nso no de bia lemfi e wo daily rate a e ma hu sika dodo a wo send a wo benya lemfi e secured na wo send this car enche na nipa wo send ama no no ne nsaka lemfi wo USA Canada UK Italy Germany Ireland Netherlands Spain Belgium Portugal and France wo de lemfi send this car untu ahwe bomodi a dey use me code NEWS news na say ene any day di kan o register o lemfi so a unya o bonus sanso e na use chance so a ye wo bonuses ahodo a ye de ma
menu makwekwe sa sempa kania se menam na meti asempa na mo amane a na ma no keka me anyem bia what ANS Trading Agency Limited nka se wo ka se door to door for no de ani watwa esan so bia ne wa wo se wo ho sa door to door business nim wo nneoma wo UK a wo de ko Ghana ana se Germany a wo de ko Ghana 3 to 5 weeks e be kwa kodu nipa ne puno anu se try na de mo demonstration ko se adwuma de ewe mu ne se wo ho bo no e da fom se boko ANS Trading Agency Limited e wo air freight special service and nneoma ne ye de be fa play entintempa na akwa kodu obetima fa sa pra we ya so de nneoma free Ghana akwa UK ana Germany FGG dem which na also agina ye na men drop bomb ANS Trading Agency Limited pe and a 40 footer any 20 footer container ye for UK ediko Ghana ana Germany ediko Ghana omo manuoma ye mere import o export o dem there for you omo Ghana na money 0249 170 423 UK has over free 0790 802 7527 Germany so 09173 771 2733 Ubenya ANS Trading Agency Limited our West Croydon ANS Trading Agency Limited Quantum Brantem Wana Beboya Baso maybe next time in your fill up from the Bebro